Hey guys, today we are jumping into a topic that I'm excited to talk about in a weird way, but I know that I don't know, it's not a happy topic, okay? It's not a happy topic, but I am excited to talk about it. Today we're diving into breakups. Yeah. I think this is a very essential episode. I have been through quite a few. I've been through quite a few breakups in my life, and I feel like if you're sitting there and either you haven't been through a breakup yet, or if you've struggled through one, or if you are struggling through one, I feel like this is going to be the chat that you need. Like the big sister advice, sit down. Oh my gosh, there's a woman outside my window. I'm scared. I have been so paranoid living in this apartment, guys. Okay, anyway. This is just going to be like that sit down chat that everything that you need to hear, everything that I wish I knew sooner. And I actually am really excited to get deep with you guys today because I am just going to say that this originated from last night. I was crying my eyes out on live stream, okay? I went on TikTok live and I was literally just crying my eyes out at a breakup. That was not recent at all. Not recent at all, but we'll get into why you cry months later and stuff like that. But I was crying a lot on TikTok live last night, and you guys made me feel so comforted and made it like such a safe space. I thought I was going to get on live and everyone was going to yell at me for crying on the internet. Like, who records themselves crying? Blah, blah, blah. But everyone was so nice and we had such a fun time. But anyway, I was sitting in my feelings for hours last night, being sad about a breakup that's not even recent. And I was like, I think this is a good topic. I think that when you're going through a breakup, it's one of the most lost feelings you can feel. And if I can provide some sort of advice or comfort to anybody who may be going through that, I'm going to do that because that's what I'm here for. And I love you guys so much. You have no idea. You have no idea how much I love you guys. So yeah, you guys are truly my best friends. I just wanted to say, if you were on that live stream, I freaking love you. And yeah, let's just do a little mental health check-in real quick. Let me know how you guys are feeling in the comments. I want to respond to you and actually see how you guys are doing. And for me, I have been better. I think that last night was like feeling like a setback, but in a way, when you cry over missing someone or you get sad over missing someone, you should low-key look at that, high-key look at that as progress and not a setback. So I am in a healing process right now. I think things hit me a little hard yesterday, and that's where my mind is at mentally. So I'm really excited to talk to you guys because there's so much that I want to say on this topic and so much that I've been through, and I just feel like we can really get into it. So without further ado and more rambling, let's just get into talking about breakups. The first thing that I wanted to talk about is reasons for breaking up, reasons that you probably should break up, and kind of just my experience with breakups. Breakups are really hard. I would say that I've been through a few like pretty heart-wrenching ones, like just a couple, but I've been through like a fair amount of breakups, and some of them have been really like not that deep, and some of them have been like, I want to not leave my bed for a month, and a year later I'm still thinking about that. So I've been through a few different times, okay? And if you've never been through a breakup, I will just tell you that it feels like one of the most empty feelings ever. Directly after, you feel anxious and sick, and it's just really not a good time, and you miss that person constantly, and I don't know. It can just be one of the most terrible feelings ever. And it's so weird because it almost manifests into like a physical pain. Like breakups, to me, it's like none of it is physical, but your heart starts to hurt and you have no motivation and you're laying in bed and you don't want to do anything and you don't want to talk to anybody because no one really understands when you're going through it. No one can really empathize that deeply with you because yes, people can see that you're sad and try to offer you comfort, but that feeling is unmatched in a bad way. I when you're in that deep of a hole after a breakup, it really is hard. And I don't think anyone can really relate to you at that point. And all you need is time, because after breakups, I have been a mess. Let me tell you guys, okay? There was this one that I went through, and this one was towards the beginning of college. I actually developed so many health problems from this breakup because I was under an immense amount of stress. I was very much in love with who I was dating at the time, and I think this was one of my first really, like, this is probably my worst breakup, because it was kind of like a messy one in that it didn't end clean cut, and there was a lot of hope and stress and wondering what could be, and sadness over the fact that it was kind of dwindling out and it wasn't like a clean cut breakup. And I remember being under so much stress from school as well, but mainly the breakup, that I had a ton of health problems. I literally, like, my jaw fractured. I got a ton of infections. I don't even know how to describe this. My face was breaking out in acne. I was sad, obviously. But that sadness, like, literally manifested into health problems and stress, and I was losing hair. I cannot describe to you guys how much breakups can affect your physical health. And so one thing I wanted to talk about was that you kind of, I know this intro is a little bit all over the place. It's just like a generalized intro. But I just wanted to say that if you're going through a breakup, please, please, please prioritize taking care of yourself, okay? It's hard. It's hard to do anything. And I think that you need to be really easy on yourself when it comes to productivity, because you're not going to be productive. You're going to be in a state where you don't want to do or talk to anybody, but you need to take care of yourself. You need to be there for yourself and at least do like the things that you need for self-care. At least take a shower, at least get up and eat. It is so hard to eat after a breakup. Oh my goodness. Every time I go through a breakup, I get terrible anxiety and I don't eat. I do not eat at all. And that is really bad. You need to not let yourself spiral into that state where you're not taking care of yourself, because at the end of the day, you are all you have, and this is your one body, and you really, really need to take care of yourself and push yourself to be there for yourself when you're in that state. I know it's hard, and I know you don't want to, but I'm just, okay, that's my little rant right now. I just really don't want you guys to fall down a rabbit hole. And please, if anything, just eat, try to sleep, like take care of your basic needs, because being in a breakup is like a very low point mentally, and it could take a huge toll on you. Okay, that was just my little rant about self-care. Let's get into reasons why you would break up with somebody or different situations. So obviously, there are so many different types of breakups. I've been through breakups where literally I was only dating the person for like 2 weeks, and then I was like, we need to call it because he wasn't texting me enough. That was like high school. There are so many different types, okay? But I think today we're going to focus on kind of the heart-wrenching ones, the ones that you've been dating for a while, and it's one of those, okay? One of the heart-wrenching breakups. Not one of the shallow ones, but, you know, the bad ones. There are so many different reasons why you would break up with somebody, but obviously there is cheating. And if you're in that situation, I've never been cheated on that I know of. But I imagine that would be a crazy feeling of betrayal. I can't even speak on it because I've never been cheated on, but that I know of. I feel like I have to preface that because I've dated some toxic people and I'm like, maybe they did cheat on, I have no idea. And that's really bad. But anyway, another reason why you might break up with somebody is if you guys are just realizing that you're no longer good for each other. I wanted to talk about reasons for breaking up because historically, I am somebody who stays in relationships and has a really hard time breaking them off because I feel really like I am a very loyal person at the end of the day, and I really, really value people who are close to me. And so when I'm dating somebody, I get enveloped in that, and it's hard for me to take a step back and look logically at things and say, this isn't good for me anymore and it needs to end. It's really hard for me to do that because the idea of not talking to somebody anymore that I'm close with is something that really deeply cuts me. And I don't think everyone's like that, but I am really bad at leaving people. I love people very deeply, and I don't know if that's like a Libra thing or whatever, or an empath thing, but it's really hard for me to cut off relationships. So if you're like that, let's take a second and think about some of the reasons why it would be necessary to break up, because there are many. I think one situation where it's necessary to break up is if you guys are at a point where you no longer see it going further. This is hard because it kind of sounds like common sense. It kind of sounds like, okay, if I don't see a future with this person, why would I keep dating them? But you have no idea. I have dated people and known like deep down that it probably wasn't going to work out, and I stayed in it. Am I proud of that? No, but it's hard because being in a relationship is so comfortable. You're in a routine with this person. You see them all the time. You have a go-to person to hang out with. The hard part is they're also your best friend. They are also somebody who you like confide in for everything, and you go to them as a safe space and a comforting energy. And leaving that and saying that you're giving that up is extremely hard. But I think a point where you need to break up is if you're looking at the relationship and you start to feel really dull, you start to feel like you don't see yourself growing with this person at all. That's a huge one because people get comfortable and they don't realize that your partner, whoever you're dating, should be somebody who's pushing you to be a better person and pushing you harder towards your goals, and someone who really supports and loves you, and not only that, but grows with you. I think a lot of people stay in relationships where you're not really going to be on the same life path, and that's really hard, but the sooner you cut that off, the better, because you shouldn't drag someone along, and especially if you know deep down that it's not going to work, you really, really should just end it there. I know, it's really hard, but I wish that I took a more logical look at things and was a little more picky in my past relationships and said, no, like, I don't see myself growing with this person. I don't think I should continue this. Was I always like that? Never. I would never make those decisions. But as your big sister advice right now, I'm telling you, if you don't see yourself growing and evolving with this person and a future with this person, maybe don't waste your time with that person. At the end of the day, the longer you string it out, the more you're going to end up hurt. And you just need to protect yourself ahead of time and call it quits when you know that that person is not good for you. Another scenario where I feel like breaking up is necessary is if that person no longer loves you. And this is hard because I don't know how else to say this. I think guys, I'm just going to speak for my experience. So I think that guys, and I'm sure this happens with girls or whoever too, I think that people stay in relationships after they stop truly loving somebody. And I think it's out of convenience, but you will know if someone stops truly loving you, if they stop caring about your standards and your needs, and they start acting a little more selfish. And you can just tell that they're doing what needs to be done to be in the relationship with you, but they're not really respecting you. They're not giving you what you need. They're not providing what you need anymore. I don't think that that person in that scenario loves you at that point. And that's a big statement. I don't know. That is a big statement. But I just think about love. And if someone truly loves you and they know what upsets you and they know what you need in a relationship and they are choosing to not give that to you, they need to go. They need to go. I don't think at that point that's true love, because when you love somebody, you understand what they need, and it's a commitment to provide that for them. Let's take an example, okay? Let's say that a guy that you're dating used to put in all of this effort and used to try so hard to get you to date him because he really, really liked you in the beginning. And you start dating, and after a few months, you notice that he stops doing all the little things. He stops taking you on dates, planning things for you. He stops putting in the effort and giving you words of reassurance. And he maybe knows that you need that in a relationship. Maybe he knows that your love language is words of affirmation and he never reassures you anymore. Maybe he used to make time for you and now he drops you to go hang out with his friends all the time. These are different scenarios where I feel like that person knows what you need and they start acting more selfishly and they stop giving you what you need. And I just think that at that point, they don't truly love you anymore. They might not realize it, but I've been in relationships where I have been treated like this. And looking back, I stayed in them way longer than I should have, because at that point, that person doesn't love you. They're not giving you what you need. They're making a choice to not give you what you need and not put the effort in anymore. And they're just coasting. And you need to have the standards to be like, no, that doesn't work for me anymore. I want a relationship where I'm going to feel valued in the beginning as much as I am currently. And if you're in a place where you're constantly romanticizing the beginning of that relationship and you're saying, I really miss the person they were, or when you think about them in your head, you think about who they used to be and how they used to treat you, you need to leave, because that's not who they are anymore. And I think down the road, people just stop putting in effort, and it's really sad. But if you see that, you need to leave, and you need to understand that you deserve so much better than the bare minimum. Guys, that I did not expect to go off that hard. Anyway, another scenario would be like long distance. I feel like there's a lot of breakup scenarios where sometimes the breakup is out of your control. Okay, I'm going to group breakups into a few different categories. There are breakups where one person did you dirty. The person you were dating did you dirty. They betrayed you. They stopped putting in the effort. They did something where you feel a little bit betrayed. Then there's mutual breakups. I feel like this is where you realize you two don't gel as well as you thought you would. There's a freaking airplane. There are mutual breakups where you guys realize, hey, maybe we aren't as compatible as we thought, and maybe we don't see a future here. And those are super hard. And those are super hard because you still have love for each other, but you realize that, why is there so much going on in the background? Not the freaking police siren, guys. I can't. Those are hard because you still have love for each other, and you have to make the decision to call it quits for the well-being of both of you. And that's really hard. And then there's breakups where it's out of your control, kind of. I would say this is more like long distance. This is more just circumstance-based, where you physically can't see each other enough to date, or it's just you call it quits because it's not working. Something is out of your hands. All three of these scenarios suck. But I feel like those are the different types. And let's talk about symptoms of breakups, because breakup symptoms are no joke and they need to be taken really seriously, I think. In the past, when I've been through breakups, I have experienced wanting to isolate from people. This was more the one in the beginning of college. I went through this breakup, and because I felt like no one could understand what I was going through, I did not want to be around my friends. And I really just started doing more things alone and isolating myself. And I just felt like no one could understand what I was going through. And so I stopped leaning on people for support. And that's not great. I think that, yes, part of healing from a breakup is getting through things on your own. Part of it is having that alone time where you sit and you cry and you think about things deeply. And yes, you have to be alone to get through it, because at the end of the day, you have to heal your mind, and crying and being sad about it is a natural part of things. But I don't think it's completely healthy to isolate and go through the entire breakup by yourself. I think that you need to lean on people who support you, whether that's one friend or one family member or whoever. I think you need to lean on people because it's just a really raw time. And I think that letting somebody in, at least one person who you vent to about it, is really healthy. I don't think it's good to isolate. And I did that so much in one breakup. I just felt like no one really understood, and I couldn't really talk about how I was feeling because all my friends knew the person. So I felt like I couldn't talk about it, but you need to vent to it, at least one person, about a breakup when you're going through it, because it will literally drive you insane. Another symptom of breakups is immense anxiety, as I was talking about earlier. I typically go through this thing where it's really hard for me to eat, and I think a lot of people have that symptom. You just need to take care of yourself. That anxious feeling will go away. It feels like it never will, and it's really hard and uncomfortable, and it makes you stay up at night. It prevents you from sleeping. It prevents you from eating. But you need to realize that at the end of the day, it is all in your head. It will pass. And I know that anxious feeling sucks, but part of it is also your brain getting used to not being around that person anymore. You used to spend all of your time with that person, and your brain has to chemically adjust to not getting that like dopamine hit from being around that person all the time. So give yourself time. It is actually a physical reaction to not being with that person. And you just need to realize that it's a temporary thing that you're going through, and find healthy ways to distract yourself. I think another symptom is just a certain numbness, a feeling of emptiness, and a loss of interest in things that you used to really enjoy. I think that this is completely normal, but it is one of the hardest feelings to work through. That deep feeling of emptiness that you get after a breakup is terrible. And listen, you're not going to want to do things. You're going to want to quit everything. You're going to want to self-sabotage and not do things that you love on purpose, and you're going to kind of lose interest in doing things, and you could do things that you used to really love, but you don't find the same happiness in it. You might be finding yourself hanging out with a group of friends, and normally you'd be having a really good time, but you just can't access that happiness at the moment, and you feel really numb even though you're in a group of friends and you're hanging out and you're laughing and everyone's having a good time, but you feel detached from that reality and you feel numb. That is completely normal. And it's really hard. That feeling sucks, but you need to be easy on yourself. You need to give yourself time and say, I know that this is temporary. I'm going to make it through this, but I'm also going to allow myself to feel these things, because that is how you heal. You can't heal from constantly distracting yourself and not facing those feelings of emptiness, numbness, sadness, anger, whatever you're feeling. You need to let yourself feel that, because that is the only way you're going to get better. You have to go through the hard feelings. And it's really hard because it's tempting to just distract yourself or indulge in things that will give you temporary satisfaction. A lot of people drink after breakups. A lot of people go look for replacements. A lot of people do these things. But the truth is, what you really need is to sit in that sadness and feel it. You need to feel your emotions. You need to cry. You need to grieve, because in a way you did lose somebody that you were really close to. And it's weird to say grieve, but I just think that you literally have to mourn your relationship. And it's a terrible feeling, but it's necessary. Something that offers me comfort when I'm going through that phase is realizing that that doesn't need to be your last interaction with that person. I think it's essential after a breakup to do a clean cut and try not to talk to them for at least a month, if not more. I think you need to do that. That is the best way I've healed in the past, is a clean cut and talking to them later on, after you've healed a little bit, after you've gathered your thoughts, after you've been able to be sensible and logical about it and stop being so emotional about it. That is your best chance of A, being friends with that person if you want to be friends with that person, B, dating them again if that's on your mind. Whatever it is, your chances are going to be a lot better if you just do a clean cut breakup and do not speak to them after. I can't tell you how healing it is to do that, because a lot of the times when we break up with somebody, our initial instinct is the need to talk to them again. And you kind of feel really sad because you feel like you're never going to speak to them again. You lost your best friend. You lost the person you're dating. You lost your love, like whatever it is. And you get really sad and you want to reach out and you want to text them and you want to call them. But listen, you're only going to sabotage yourself if you do that. Because number one, you're not actually healing. You're crawling back to that comfort and they're not yours anymore. That is the end of the story. And that's really a hard pill to swallow. but you need to learn how to be okay without that person. And so you can't text them, you can't call them, you can't try to heal together or check in on them right after a breakup, because you need your own time to heal. You need your own time to be alone and to look at things logically, look at what went wrong, look at what could have been done better, heal without them. After a few months, once you've had time to kind of think things over, be sad, mourn that person, there is hope that you guys will talk again. I think that in a lot of scenarios in life, people come back to each other, and something that's really comforting for me and makes it easier to not reach out to that person is realizing that it's not the end of the world, because there is a really good chance that you guys will come back to each other and possibly be friends, maybe not, possibly get back together, maybe not, but you have to be okay either way. You can't hold on to the hope that you're going to get back together with them. You can't hold on to the hope that you guys might be in each other's lives, but it is comforting. I think that it helps you not reach out to them. Take a second and realize you guys can come back to each other at some point. And it should not be right now, but that person's not gone forever. People heal. People get back together after years. And I'm not saying that you should have that hope and hold on to it, but hold on to the fact that one day, if you heal the right way now, you're more likely to be civil with that person and be able to talk to them and be healthy with that person down the line. And I think that that is really comforting to realize when you're going through it and you kind of feel doomed and you feel like you're never going to talk to them again and you're really sad. Just be comforted by that. Another thing that I kind of wanted to touch on is how long it should take to heal from a breakup. I think that a lot of people wonder this. And when I was going through a breakup, I was like, what is wrong with me? Because I always had this feeling, I always had this thought that it should only take you like 3 months max to get over a breakup. 3 months. You got 3 months, and then after 3 months, what is wrong with you? That's how I felt. That's how I felt about breakups. And because I guess before I got my heart ripped out of my chest and all my breakups were a little bit more shallow high school relationships, I always just assumed it would take like 3 months. I don't know why I got that timeline. I don't know where I got that timeline from. Nobody told me that, so I really don't know where I got that from. But it was always in my head that 3 months was like the cap, and then you should be over it. And then I got my heart ripped out of my chest. I dated a guy. The relationship turned really toxic. It was no bueno. The breakup was messy and terrible. And that took me over a year, maybe 2 years to fully heal from. Breaking up is such a process, and healing is such a long and confusing process. I want you to know that healing is not linear. Healing does not happen in a straight line where you're constantly making progress and one day you're going to feel better. Healing looks like being sad about it and then thinking you're fine. And then a month later, you're breaking down about it again. And then you have a day where you feel okay and you feel like, oh, I actually did not think about the person today. And then 3 months later, you're crying over them again. That is progress. That is realistic progress, because it's not natural to constantly just be on a good path where you're constantly getting better and not thinking about that person. That's not natural. And that's not how people break up. And that's not how healing works. You're going to have good days and bad days. You're going to have days where you finally feel like, I didn't think about this person at all today, and I can actually live without them. And then there's going to be days where you are breaking down months later, after the breakup has already happened, after you've been healing for a while, after you've had good days. There are going to be days where you're like, this is the end of the world, and I still miss them, and what is wrong with me? But at the end of the day, there's nothing wrong with you. You cared. You cared so deeply. You cared so deeply for somebody, and that is a beautiful thing. I think we need to look at healing as you cared for somebody. You had a beautiful relationship with somebody, and maybe it didn't end well. Maybe it's not how you thought it would turn out. Maybe you're not going to have a future with them, but you're going to be okay. And that relationship was a learning experience. Everything is a learning experience. Every breakup, every relationship, every person you meet is a learning experience. And so a big thing that I hear with breakups all the time is it was a waste of time. I always hear people say they think the relationship was a waste of time. I used to think, oh my gosh, I dated this person for months and I wasted my time. Like, I wish I never met them. That is a terrible way to think, okay? Everything and every person you meet teaches you things in life. And breakups can be really, really beneficial because you can learn what you tolerate in a relationship, what you don't want in a relationship going forward. And it's only going to make you stronger as a person and as a partner. And it's only going to help you to go through breakups. And I know they hurt, but it also strengthens your independence. I've gained so much of my personality from being hurt by breakups because I realized how strong I am. I realized that I was at the lowest of the low point. I was crying. I was a mess. My skin was breaking out from stress. I was so sad. But then you heal and you get better, and healing is inevitable. You're going to heal. You're going to be okay. It just takes time. And then you're going to look back and you're going to be like, wow, I am a strong mofo. I don't know why I just said mofo. I handled that. I did that. I brought myself back up. And it makes you have this new sense of confidence and independence that you can really heal from something like that. And it might take you a year. It might take you 2 years. It might take you a month. I don't know how long it'll take you to heal from that person. But however long it takes you is how long it is supposed to take you. I was hung up on somebody for a year, literally probably over a year, because it's hard to let go of somebody, and it's hard to let go of that feeling that you had around them, and it's hard to let go of that image of them that you had in your head of, oh my gosh, I'm meant to be with this person. That is really hard to let go of. And it might take you a super long time, but however long it takes you is how long it's supposed to take you. And you do not need to be hard on yourself for that. There are going to be people who might say, I don't know why you're still talking about him. And if you have friends like that, they're not good friends, okay? If you're around people who are telling you that you should heal sooner, literally F them. Okay, sorry. No, that's mean. But they're not being supportive, and that's not a healthy way to look at things. And I'm here. If no one's telling you this, I'm here to tell you however long it takes is how long it is supposed to take. And if you're still sad about it, don't beat yourself up. You cared about this person and you thought that you might be with them forever. That is so hard to swallow. Like, how are you supposed to just move on from that? Give yourself time. Let yourself be sad, and let yourself be sad for as long as you want to be sad. But just make sure you're doing little things to pick yourself back up, take care of yourself, and try not to let yourself sink into a hole where you're self-sabotaging. I think that's the worst thing you can do. I think you should allow yourself to be sad. You need to cry. You need to let yourself break down sometimes over this person, and that's the only way you're going to heal. But you need to take care of yourself and be there for yourself at the end of the day. Don't neglect things that you need. Don't neglect food. Don't neglect hygiene. Don't neglect things that help you keep your sanity. Don't isolate yourself from people who support you. Lean on people who support you, and do things that are healthy for you to heal. But it's okay if you're sad. It's okay if you're sad a year later, 2 years later. It's okay if you still miss that person 5 years later. I don't think there's any one way of healing. And as soon as you realize that, you need to go a little easier on yourself, but just keep in the back of your mind that everything will be okay. You've existed before meeting this person. You will exist after. And I know they were probably your whole world, but you need to make you your whole world. You need to prioritize yourself and learn to be alone. And it'll take a while, but you'll get there. You will pick yourself back up. You need to be your own best friend because you don't need anyone else. You only need yourself. You are truly going to be okay. And that's, I think, where I'm going to wrap this episode. I love you guys so much. Breakups are hard. I could do a whole other episode about this, more episodes about this. I have more to say, but I'm just going to wrap here because that was a good little ending. I love you guys so much. And let me know if you've been through this, how you cope, if you're coping. Send this to a friend who might need this episode. I really think that it's a topic that needs to be talked about more. I haven't seen much breakup advice. I mean, this is literally how I started on TikTok, was giving breakup advice. So it's a really low time in your life. And I hope that this episode helped or can be there for you if you haven't been through one. If you're in one day, come back to this. I just love you guys and I want to be here for you. So let me know how you guys are doing in the comments. Let me know what kind of episodes you guys want to see next. Follow me. My name is Niki with 1K _ Patton on TikTok, Snapchat, YouTube, Instagram, and follow the pod, guys. We're growing slowly and I freaking love it. I love you guys. And I know if you're listening to this, you guys are literally the best. I get the most supportive, amazing comments from you guys, and it makes my entire day and it makes me want to keep doing these pods. So I love you guys so much. I know if you're listening, you're a real one, and I just freaking love you guys. If you want to keep up with me more, I vlog pretty much my entire day on Snapchat, and I talk to you guys all day on Snapchat, so definitely add me. On Instagram, I also always ask you guys for podcast ideas, so make sure to follow me there. And TikTok, I give more like bite-sized advice videos, so definitely make sure to follow. I love you guys so much. Make sure you're subscribed to the YouTube if you're watching this on YouTube, or even if you're not. And I love you guys so much. Let me know what you want to see next, and I'll talk to you in the next one.